Hello, this is mquander, and I'm here with BearSuit,
Right, that's me.
and we're ready to commentate the heck out of the show match between Sven and Esoteric. It's going to be a best of 7, so could go a while, could go not a while. We'll have to see. If we have more than 4 games, we're going to have an intermission after game 4 to take a break. Um, it's going to be 60 seconds, and actually, the players are kind of still negotiating what it's base plus. We're waiting to hear from Esoteric, so we don't know the exact format yet, but I can assure you it will be base plus something.
Yeah, presumably base plus 9, but we're not sure yet. But somewhere between 8 and 10 is probably the sweet spot.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're like, some of you guys watching might have no idea who we are because we haven't played much Prismata lately, but we used to play and we're on Sven's team Vanguard, so we are sort of rooting for Sven. I don't personally know very much about Esoteric. I see that he's been playing a lot in the past year and getting to some nice, respectable place on the ladder, so I'm kind of excited to see what is his strength.
Yeah, he said that he started or he played his first game in 2014, but it's only in the last year he's really been pushing the ranks. And he's like his peak score is 2050 around there ish, so not a bad player.
Oh, Sven just messaged to say that it's base plus 9. So format
All
is
right.
60 seconds, base plus 9. Yeah, so Esoteric is fighting Sven. Sven, probably you might know him because he streams all the time. Very strong player, been playing for ages. It seems to me like he's probably the favorite, just because I figure Sven is the favorite against almost anything. But yeah, I would be really curious to see if Esoteric can put in some damage. Esoteric's chat has led me to believe that he's somewhat confident that he'll put up a good show. So I'm excited to see whether he can bite as well as he can bark.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the dark horse coming up against Sven since, I mean, Sven has been one of the most consistent players in Prismata. I'm not sure how many breaks he's taken, but a lot of the top players takes like 4 or 5 months breaks at a time, but it feels like Sven has just always been playing, at
Yeah,
least whenever I
I never thought to go and play a game of Prismata and not see Sven on the leaderboard. Like he
yeah,
doesn't sit around. He's not like buried under the vacation penalty.
yeah,
So
as opposed to
based
two other
on the
people in this chat.
based on the picture on the stream, who would you say looks like the best Prismata player?
Um, I mean, Esoteric looks more like an IT guy, you know? Sven is flexing the muscles, so he kind of looks like an ex. Well, what's that football you call over there? Oh, you just call it football. Uh, like
Yeah,
an
we
ex
just
football
call it
player.
football.
Yeah, I was trying to think what we call it, but it's just American football for us. So
So is Sven wasting his time on physical fitness when he could be applying his mind to improve at Prismata, or is he in touch with his body, which after all is the seat of the mind?
well, I'm not. I mean, if we look at just hours spent on Prismata, I'm pretty sure Sven has us all beat. I kind of want
Legitimate.
to look at how many like games he's actually played on Prismata at this point.
Oh, they started to play. Let's go. Okay, loading up.
And the most important thing whenever you start the game is judge peoples on their drones. And Sven is rocking the United Nations skin.
I never
Good
liked that
choice.
drone, but I like his engineer, so I guess it's a net zero. All right, what's going on here?
Well, there's a lot of different drones here. I haven't played too much with the new Vile drone, but to me it looks like kind of a Vendium strap kind of drone.
Yeah, the new wild drone. I agree. I'm still like slightly confused about that drone. The best I understand it is like, okay, it frees up a little bit of what do you call like flexibility and opening, sort of the way Doom drone it does, and it's pretty good value. So you probably want to get like a bunch of it. Um, it doesn't probably, I feel like it doesn't have as big of a transformative impact on openings as it used to have, because it's so much more flexible than the old version, which I think was the intent of the redesign.
Yeah, yeah. Other than that, for attackers, we have actually a lot of good stuff. We have both Blood Rager, Tatsu, and Sinestro. But seeing as Centurion plus the Bolt is in the set, I would not be surprised about seeing Sinestros. It's really easy to spend the spare green after you've gotten at least one Sinestra here with the cluster bolts, and you probably want a Centurion in the set regardless, so
I
I
agree.
wouldn't
My
be
intuition
surprised.
is that you want Centurion, even with all of the stuff. I don't think that Tatsu will play because it's so easy to. You should be getting these greens for Cluster Bolt, and so it's very easy, I think, to punish a Tatsu with like a bunch of Cluster Bolt.
Yeah, exactly.
So that means that Centurion is like very exciting. So we need to get, and that means we need a pretty high economy. There's some trick with getting the most value out of things like Manticore and Blood Rager and Megadrone while you're getting up there. And if they have enough green, then it will be interesting to like threaten tactical cluster bolts to try to make it harder to scrape that value out.
Yeah. I like Manticore, especially like if you can get out an early Centurion, you can follow it up with like a Sinestra plus Manticore round. But uh, normally Manticores are not that easy to put out in a Sinestra game, simply because it's just a bit too slow. But
So there's also going to be these wild drones on the table. So I feel like you don't need the extra absorb denial help of Manticore very much, probably. At least
yeah,
I think there's going to be wild drones on the table. Maybe
well,
Esoteric will surprise me and not build any or something. Oh, interesting.
oh,
Esoteric
not
is
third
going just
engineer.
double engineer, not third engineer. That's surprising to me since, yeah, I thought that Centurion was a big deal here. So I'm much more, I feel like 3 engineers is the right number. I like all of Sven's openings so far.
I think you might just consider to get out an early Manticore and pressure the wild drones, and maybe use Manticores to get out the rest of his thing. But yeah, I'm a bit suspicious about this Blast Forge. It's generally like the weakest opening if you're not defending right. You never really want to just get a casual steel splitter on turn 4. But we're gonna have to see what his plan is here. I'm gonna expect there's some sort of Manticore trying to kill wild drones as fast as possible. I'm not sure if that even punishes wild drones all that much anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of strange because Manticore click gives you 3, but Manticore clicking Wild Drone is, well, I don't know. I think that's the wrong way to think about it, actually. It seems fine to use Manticore to kill Wild Drones, but like unless you already have the double blue hanging around, just buying Manticores for the attack isn't that great.
Mm.
And since Galvani and Engineer are here, it's sort of some defense against threats. So I don't think Sven is going to be too concerned about like having a couple engineers around to cover the threat from the Manticores.
Yeah. One thing to consider is that sword economy is a real thing in this set. Between Blood Rager, Megadrone, and Manticore clicks, you can actually deny quite a lot of sword and get the economy with the early attack.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I guess I wouldn't be surprised if someone could demonstrate to me that the correct way to play was to like get 2 engineers, go straight into green, get an animus, and start like using Sinestra and Cluster Bolt to make Blood Ragers, and that could fight against something that's trying to set up Centurion. You might just wind up having so much attack by the time the turn after the Centurion that the Centurion player doesn't really. Yeah, I don't know. I would still get
uh,
Centurion, but you're right that the attackers are really strong. So I feel like I'm not very confident the right order to get things. And yeah,
I'm also a bit. I like Galvani drones is. Galvan is good, but it's kind of hard to get a Megadrone if you're running a lot of Galvanis as well. And if Esoteric is getting out this early attack, I would assume a Megadrone might come out as well. So then the
Megatron is
Galvani
good.
drones. Yeah, but like, do you really want to get 5 engineers here? It kind of seems a bit too ambitious with 12 Galvani drones. I would have
I don't think
probably
it's a
preferred a
problem
wild
to have
core.
5 engineers and get the Megadrone and then fill in if it's like kind of convenient for you to get the Megatron on that.
Well, right now we see Esoteric kind of close to putting up a Centurion, but Sven is actually just going straight into Tatsu Nullifiers here.
Wow. Okay, that's not what I would do. That's really interesting.
Maybe he feels like, or I think rightly decides that Tatsu is really good if the opponent doesn't get the Centurion, because he's stuck on 2 Blast Forges now and can't really get any good defense versus it.
Oh, that's
And
very
he's not.
accurate, and he'll have a hard time transitioning into Sinestro or Blood Rager without wasting all of his blue.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's just overcommitted into a very defensive strategy right here. So
Yeah, like right now, he has a hard time with that blue. I guess he should build. I don't know what to recommend for him except just now trying to hammer attack as fast as possible. But it's never going to be that hard for Sven to take one turn and like get Centurion, so it's not very attractive to have the attack unless you're prepared to get stuff like Blood Rager and Mega Drone when he gets the Centurion for a little bit.
it could be
Oh, but the
somewhat
Wild
difficult to
Drones
get
are
it
still
out.
here. I almost forgot.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I'm pretty
killing the
much.
wild runs is pretty good to like deny Centurion. I know. I think the Tatsus are just coming a bit too fast here for Esoteric to like defend it. I do not think he anticipated just double Tatsu. Or sorry, double Animus into Tatsu. More like.
Hmm, already annoying for Esoteric.
Yeah, like you can't really just defend this with a wall.
If it's possible for Sven to play Tatsu Cluster Bolt Wall or something next turn, it's going to be painful. As Esoteric, I would like to try to make sure to pressure Sven's defense so that that's not so easy to play. I don't know how much damage he has to do to achieve that. Let's see. Sven would have 7 defense on the table. Oh, Esoteric's building Cluster Bolt. So actually, he will achieve that in this path. No matter what he does, he'll be preventing that turn.
Uh,
Oh, but he can hold 2
really?
drones too. No, this way he. Let's see. He'll have 7. Hold 2 drones is 9. He breached for exact if he held 2 drones and did that stuff. Oh, 1 Galvani shut off actually. So yeah, Sven can't play that turn this way. Oh, he can hold the splitter. I
Yeah,
almost.
yeah.
Okay, then it's easy, and I guess he probably will. So
Yeah.
Esoteric just spamming out the engineers. Yeah, I guess it makes sense. It's not like walls are doing much good.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're buying less efficient defense and offense than your opponent, what are you really doing, right?
So
It kind of
yeah,
feels like not a move trying to win, but just trying to not lose. And I don't know. I don't think that's probably gonna get him anywhere.
if Esoteric plays like this, then still he's going to owe extra defense past 2 walls next turn, because Sven is making 9 attack and he's only going to have 7 engineers on the table. He could build 2 walls and hold splitter next turn, though, for example. Maybe that's.
Sven was looking if he could gambit by, or whether or not if a gambit was correct, but he
Oh,
had
that
to
makes
give up the
sense.
cluster ball for it. But yeah,
But
in,
yeah, it doesn't seem likely to be correct because, well, Esoteric would only be losing drones anyway to a breach for 2 or something. So yeah, what Sven did seems very reasonable.
but Sven also just got away with buying 4 wild runs that never died. So that have to be like something you're pretty happy about efficiency.
Yeah, Esoteric. The thing is, like, Esoteric doesn't have enough pressure that anything bad is going to happen to Sven. if he takes a couple turns to just kill all the drones. So nothing that looks like a breach proof is going to work here. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, keeping up with 6 or even 10 attacks is pretty easy. Sven just defended 9 damage and bought a Tatsu in Cluster Bolt, so...
Yeah, I mean, rhinos exist too. So Sven's turns can be something like wall, double rhino, force field for like a little while, or like wall, rhino, force field some engineers, for example. That's going to hold against like 10 damage for some turns. So, looks rough. At least the Galvani's turned off.
Yeah, that's a silver lining. And the Steel Splitter can't really attack, so, he has something going for him, but, it's just not enough,
Next, going to start dying if Sven wants to kill them.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I guess most of that damage was cluster, so I'm just full of crap. But still.
But I mean, damage is equal here if you just like take account for that Sven has actually absorb, where Esoteric doesn't have absorb. So if the damage is equal and Sven has like twice the economy and everything else, there's not really anything Esoteric can do. Yeah, I just think the opening for Esoteric was a bit strange. Opening with Steel Splitters in a set with so much good green stuff, I don't know. It was a bit slow, and
Yeah.
Sven properly punished it.
I feel like in a lot of sets, I'm thinking to myself, like, how do I waste the least blue on crappy stuff? Because I need to get blue to get my absorb, but then there's no good blue attackers, so I like want to get it at the last minute, and I feel like that's the case here. I would have approached this like, oh well, I don't even really want Manticore, so I want to get blue, like I want to get double blue the turn before Centurion and like not get any other blue before that. And well, Esoteric definitely didn't take my advice.
Yeah, exactly. Like Manticore is something that helps a build. It's not your game plan going in. Like Manticore is the only blue unit Esoteric really went for this game. He didn't even buy a single wall. And Steel Splitters and Manticores is not good enough to justify a blue strategy, I think.
So I wonder if, because if I were Sven, I wouldn't have built this Tatsu strategy. Like I didn't think of that one. I wonder if Sven had just done something sort of normal, the way we were postulating might go before with Sinestra and Cluster Bolt and Blood Rager and Centurion, if that also would have won against Esoteric's plan, or whether Sven cleverly found a more reliable way to win.
Yeah, I think Esoteric was just planning on killing the wild drones while Sven was trying to go for something slower. But since Sven decided to like rush out Tatsus instead, Esoteric was forced to attack the defense of Sven instead of the economy, which, it was a double-edged sword. Or, sorry, not double-edged sword, it was two bad options, Like, you can't really attack the defense with only blue stuff. And, well, if you attack the wild ones, you're giving the Tatsus too much time to set up, so...
Yeah, if only there were a little better defense against the Tatsus. Because actually, now that I think of it, if you took all of the wild drones away from Sven's economy, then he would. I think at his peak, he had like 11 actual drones. So he would have been able to like almost make Tatsu per turn, but he would have been burning his blue and green and stuff. So I wonder if targeting those wild drones first would have given Esoteric a better chance. I feel like the problem is the Esoteric would have had a really hard time defending for like the 3 turns or whatever it would take for him to clear out the frontline economy.
Yeah. And after that, Sven still had the Blast Forge and the Conduit out. And, he could have just stockpiled green for when he needed to. So yeah, I think the main issue here was just the blue didn't offer enough attack to punish anything Sven did. And, Sven just took advantage of that with the Wild Drones, with the Tatsus. And at this point, the game has been over for a couple of rounds, but just playing it out. Cluster Bolt does some strange things to game states, but and Esoteric is out of engineer supply.
I'm trying to think of what sort of Prismata games I'm like hungry to see, since I haven't played Prismata a while. Like, what's my favorite sort of Prismata game to watch?
I'll hope we get a wide variety of them. I hope there's not too much breach proof though. I'm not a big fan of breach proof, or sorry, breach proof mirror. I'm not a fan of, but you know, breach proof versus something else. But my personal favorite of all the games is like the low econ, heavy tech sort of things. That's just my all-time favorite, with like the Hellhounds and I don't know, the new Sentinel. Yeah, I want to see the new Sentinel as well, because I was buffed since I really stopped playing.
I hope there's some games where they have some tough decisions tactically. That's fun to calculate, and they have plenty of time, relatively speaking.
Yeah, neither player has like spent too much of the bank so far, so this game was played quite rapidly. But oh, Esoteric really, really sitting this out. 3 cluster bolts left in his inventory. Not quite enough damage to kill all of Sun stuff, but
with his fresh new conduit, he will play the other two one turn faster than he otherwise would have.
that's true. Alright, so first game goes to Sun. I'm not sure if there's... Oh, there is a graphic, but we don't really have control of it, seeing as it's Sven that actually is broadcasting it. We're obviously muted on his Discord, but...
Okay, it's going. Ooh, I like this set.
Yeah, this is... Well, I mean, there's... Without the E matrix, I would love the set, but E matrix makes it a bit more defensive than those low econ games I really like.
It's true that E-Matrix seems like a must-buy. What else do we think? Is Endotherm Kit and Windsor, are those must-buys?
Endotherm is usually too slow with Windsor. Just like if you buy an Endotherm, the opponent just gets a Windsor before you. It feels like you just get the Windsor anyways, because you already have the tech.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Yeah, I think we're like... I don't think Endotherm will get bought, because, well, Sinestra, but I think everything else is a big shot of getting bought here.
I think
I wouldn't...
Esoteric is playing well by getting third engineer here. It makes sense for me that Windsor should come a little slowly compared to average, because Energy Matrix and Cauterizer are pretty good defense. Even Husk helps a tiny bit, maybe.
Yeah. Also, just like if you go low econ aggressive, you just get crushed by a single Windsor. It's not
True.
very hard to just... Like, you can defend any early aggression here with just an E matrix and Husk or whatever. But yeah,
Sven's
just the
doing
conduits are
triple NG natural conduit, which makes total sense to me. Esoteric is doing player one, triple NG with conduit here makes total sense. So the question is like, what turn do you like start getting tech? Like right now, maybe Sven should get. What would I do? I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure
think
what I would
this
do
is
if I
like
was
the
Sven right
first real turn, or like the first important turn, and sets up... It might be an endotherm. I mean, it has to be an endotherm, right? Because there's no way you're
Well, if
gonna buy
Esoteric doesn't get
Sinestra.
any blue this turn, then it's tempting to get Sinestra. But Esoteric will probably buy blue.
Yeah, I think in Esoteric can set up Windsor this turn. That might be fine.
Yeah, I
Because
like
if it...
that play. Then you're set to get Energy Matrix if for some reason Sven won't get Sinestra, so he won't do that. Meantime, you get Windsor, and then what's next turn for Esoteric? I guess he can then spam Hellhounds at least. All right. Well, Sven is putting the
And
lie
now
to your claim about Endotherm Kit, so we'll see whether he had a better judgment.
Yeah. The E-Matrix might delay it enough for the Endotherm kit. Because normally what happens like in this position is that Sven needs to take a turn off building the Windsor, and then Esoteric has just like he can buy any attack he wants.
Why do you think
Interestingly,
that
his
Sven would
float.
need to take a turn off building the Windsor? Like, obviously he can build it, right?
Oh yeah. So sorry, but like he's not gonna put anything uh to pressure on the board right now. So Esoteric can just build a lot of damage and force Sven to be on the defense and not like supply the
I
Windsor with
see.
anything.
Like, he might be
Um,
down a Sinestra or something when the Windsor comes compared to where he could be if he hadn't bought the Endotherm.
yeah, exactly. But since E-Matrix can defend literally anything Esoteric throws down, I think actually the Endotherm works out a lot better than I originally thought. But I mean, Esoteric can put a lot of pressure on here, and a lot of the pressure also like provides defense for the Endotherm, with both the Hellhounds and the Quadrisers coming out.
So, do you buy Hellhounds or Cauterizers here for Esoteric? I think I would buy Cauterizers because I feel like I care a lot more about the defense than the attack at this moment. I mean, Sven is just, if I like make 4 Hellhounds over the next 2 turns or something, Sven is, well, I guess either way it's 2 damage when the Windsor comes. But yeah, I care a lot about the extra defense, I think, because if Esoteric isn't prepared, the Windsor turn could be quite painful.
Yeah, I think it all depends on how you can fit in the Sinestra if you even want to look at that.
Like, I think
Because
I'm going to buy the Cauterizers and then expect to hold the Cauterizers on Sven's Windsor threat turn.
yeah, that's also your Windsor attack turn. But yeah, that's probably correct. But yeah, Sven has a very easy, just like E matrix in response to literally any damage, which is why like the Hellhounds and Quadriser here just doesn't do all that much in terms of.
Yeah, but you have to use this or else you're not prepared for the Windsor.
Yeah, yeah, I think I agree with you with the Quadriser though, or the Categorizer. It's yeah, it's just more defense, and I think that I have to. Oh,
I'm
yeah,
just
that
worried that
actually.
if he doesn't build like extra Cauterizers, it might be pretty hard to deal with this first Windsor turn. Um, I mean, let's see. So we're going to have a total of like, let's say 35 threat coming. And right now, after this turn, he's going to have 15 defense on the table. So he's going to go covering like 20 of that, more or less. I don't think he wants to allow breaches for like Tarsiers and Hellhounds. That's for sure. He wants to absorb on E Matrix. So that owes like a lot. Energy Matrix covers 5 of it. Let's say he builds 4 force fields, which he doesn't really want very badly. That still doesn't cover the whole threat. He owes like another handful, so some husks and some whole drones. It's pretty ugly to build that many force fields. I think he would much rather have like another cauterizer that's getting held back, for example.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that he didn't try to get out the Sinestra as well.
I think he should definitely build Energy Matrix this turn. I mean,
Well,
oh no, he needs the cauterizer. I'm totally
yeah,
full of crap. Okay, I like what.
yeah, but I mean, if he builds the Quadriser here instead of the Hellhounds, it kind of feels like he should have bought the Quadriser last turn as well. But
So
I'm just,
meanwhile,
I don't think this is just enough pressure
this is
to
Sven's
like just.
Windsor defense turn, and he's got 20 coming at him. And if he holds the cauterizer, which he surely will, I suppose. Well, will he? He likes Energy Matrix, so maybe he won't. Okay, well, now we see. Wow. Force fields and Smorkus instead of husks? I guess he really wants max pressure. Yeah, seems legit since we observed how difficult it was for Esoteric to deal with this pressure. I like Sven's turn.
Yeah, the Quadriser won fire, but I think. Well, I don't want to do the math when I can wait a turn. 22, so he needs, well, 22 defense in addition to what he already had.
He
So,
could have tried like clicking the cauterizer, for example, gambiting against the opponent cauterizer and clearing one more engineer. Okay, so Esoteric is facing up to the reality that he needs like 6 more defense, and it's not clear where it is. I agree, it's not clear.
Yeah.
Oh, well, cauterizer's turned off, so actually he only needs, okay, switch that. But yeah, he needs to get, to cover 36. Oh, but
Yeah.
one freeze is fake in the current configuration, so that's a small mercy.
Yeah, but Sven has just like, I mean, he sacrificed a lot of his drones for this, but he's also set up both Mortis and Vengechan to like get rid of excess tech.
Yeah,
So
I mean, the problem is Esoteric is like, if Esoteric still had a decent economy, then I would be like, oh, you know, he can hold this. Maybe he's going to be up 5 drones. Energy Matrix is here, so it's not hard to defend against the damage Sven has left. But the problem is Esoteric doesn't have a decent economy. He's force fielding everything, and he owes like 3 more drone holds or something on this turn. So pretty ugly.
yeah, yeah, the endotherm plus Windsor really showed. I mean, I took massive. I thought endotherm was a bit slow, but the E matrix really just allowed Sven to just take that turn off, get defensive, and then just have this one big turn where it bought this Mortis and Venge Cannon while defending. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, you know, even if Esoteric had gotten an extra cauterizer instead of those 2 Hellhounds, so that's like 5 extra defense, it still wouldn't have exactly been a walk in the park. Like, he still would have owed those force fields, for example, even though this breach wouldn't be happening. So I feel like maybe Sven would still be ahead. Well, there's going to be a lot of frozen defense hanging around, so maybe not. Hard to say. So in this situation, oh wow, he's killing the drones over the Hellhounds and stuff. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, he's already over defended with the
Yeah,
Matrix.
it's hard to believe that Esoteric is going to get out, like, say, 2 or 3 more damage over the next couple turns. Well, I guess Hellhounds are a good way to use his tech, so probably he will. Now he can't decide.
Yeah, I was just about to consider this because the obvious turn for Esoteric was double Hellhound, and killing a drone both prevents double Hellhound, but also if he could get 2 damage out, it wouldn't still hit over the energy matrix.
I don't know. It's 1 turn to double Hellhound. I'm not super impressed by how fancy this is. I agree that if somehow Sven works out in his head that, like, you know, this way is a good way to maximize the absorb and minimize his economy, and they're roughly equal for or something that is tactically convenient. Maybe just killing the Hellhounds is smart.
Well, I think the game is going to slow down until one of the Windsors fires again, and at that point, well, I'm not sure how Sven defends it, but
Looks like
if
he's
Sven,
probably, you know, I wouldn't have, I don't know if, the drones from Sven. I guess it makes sense. I'm just worried he might have to maximize his defensive output to time for this Windsor turn. But I guess he might not be so badly off. Like, let's say that Esoteric is going to have 20 damage coming in. So right now, if you include the Steel Splitter, Sven already has 10 on the table. So all he has to do is build, like, let's say he gets, what's he going to do next turn? I don't know. He could build wall. I don't know. I guess he can. He doesn't want to click Smorcus because it's not getting through.
well, he's not using the red anyways. Like,
I
I
feel
would
like
should
Sven,
build it.
whatever Sven does, he's got 2 extra drones that he doesn't need for his Windsor shot, so he can force field them. I think he's going to be able to meet this 20 threat.
Yeah,
He
I think
might
as
have to
long
give his
as
splitter.
Ben prepares for it, I don't think he can. It's going to be enough. He also has the Venge can click for his Windsor turn, or you know, this turn if you wanted.
I don't think either of them are actually going to click their Windsor again in the near future.
Well, it is the threat of the Windsor. Like, if the Windsor just managed to kill all the drones, you just do it.
Yeah, I'm just working out what I think is going to happen in this game. And I feel like what's going to happen is the Windsors are going to be staring at each other threat is going to be covered, and then question mark.
Yeah, so Sven buys the energy matrix to be sure that he can defend the Windsor, and this is kind of where I like killing the Helland, right? Because, you know, now Esoteric was on 4 damage instead of 5. I'm not sure if that would have mattered. Hey, he got full absorb.
These 3 drones. Oh wow! If I were Esoteric, I would have to calculate more because I'm nervous that those 3 drones are going to have to like hold to cover this Windsor. I haven't worked.
I always half expecting like golden drones there.
Yeah, Esoteric
Just
is going to need. They're going to turn into force fields, I think. But maybe that's okay because Esoteric isn't really. It doesn't really have the latitude to spend his green. So then, if the green is only becoming force fields and he has extra, drones are fine defenders.
well, Sven defended this perfectly for the Windsor shot.
Well, he had to make that preemptive energy matrix, but I agree.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
no big
also
deal.
the steel splitter hold. Like, it did 1 damage and then hold. I'm not sure if he calculated that. He might have. It's
So
not.
if we play double wall, double force field, that doesn't cover it, which is not our favorite. If we play energy matrix triple force field, actually that still doesn't cover it. Although at least Sven will have to spend his cryo charges and click his Windsor to get this breach. So actually we could probably gambit because Sven really doesn't want to click his Windsor to kill like 2 drones or something. That would probably be a loss for Sven is my guess.
Yeah.
So is this gambit the right size? That's what we wonder.
I think you just, as long as you can build energy matrix afterwards, you're kind of fine, or maybe not.
So one really good, yeah. Oh no, he does have to build energy matrix afterwards. This is a disaster.
Yeah, like if you can't build the energy matrix, I think the breach is correct.
Yeah, if
Just
he had an
like,
energy matrix on the table, I might be optimistic for Esoteric. I mean, not really, I think, because Sven's over the absorb barrier, and it'll take a little while for Esoteric to get there. But yeah, this just looks toast. Poor Esoteric.
it ended up a lot closer than original. I think maybe the double Hellhounds early on cost him a lot of like small incremental things that just.
It clearly did. I don't know if the best line was to like sit around getting that Windsor and then cauterizer the next 2 turns, but it would have been more challenging than what he did. Maybe there's some other way that he could have played that would have been even better. I don't. All right, they already started the next.
Oh, some more.
I like that game though. Interesting to think about.
Well, 2 of my favorite units are here, both Urban Sentry and Sentinel, but I don't think they're going to see that much play in the set, considering there's Synthesizer, Samora, and E-Matrix. It looks just a Samora mirror to me. I don't think there's anything that can even get close to pressuring it, so.
I agree. It's a Zamora mirror. The only thing I don't know is do you get like what Zamora opening do you want? Because with Doom Drone and Synthesizer and Galvani, it seems like there's actually a surprising number of choices. Like I don't have some cash thought for how I would play this. I'd have to think for a long. Because you're okay going like a higher econ Zamora since there's energy matrix and there's not any super great attackers or anything. So I think you could conceivably take like an extra turn to get like Blast Forge into Synthesizer and get out the Zamora using the Synthesizer green. I think also Synthesizer is nice to get because you don't really want to be on double blue in this set. Like, yeah, maybe you can get some grenade back and then like click away the blue you don't need, but I feel like you're probably going to spend some blue inefficiently if you play that. I would rather be able to like build my energy matrix with the Synthesizer. On the other hand, there aren't really any attackers better than Grenade Mech, are there?
I mean, Tarsier. I'm not sure where Tarsier ends up versus Grenade Mech in low inflations like this, but I kind of would probably see a Animus at some point just to get out Sentinels as well, but
I agree. I feel
that's
like when there's no good attackers and no great soak, Sentinel starts looking pretty good.
yeah. I mean, you'd be like for Tarsiers to line up the Zamora, and like 2 turns before the Zamora starts firing, you just pump out Sentinel trains.
I think you
Um,
convinced me. I think that I want to see Sentinels, a lot of Sentinels with correct play in this set.
I'm not sure like how the builds like match up versus each other. Like in an optimal world, you just want like one Blast Forge, one Synthesizer, one Animus, but it's kind of hard to see if the perfect world actually like happens, you know?
Okay, so we
Because
saw both players just play nothing fancy, double engineer into like relatively natural Zamoras. Sven is doing like the slightly slower Zamora. Everything just looks very ordinary here.
the
I
Blast
like
Forge isn't
Sven's.
ordinary.
I like Sven's position. Like Sven, it looks like he's taking a good advantage of Doom Drone here by sneaking out the third engineer along with the Zamora setup conduit. So that's pretty cool. That makes me feel like maybe he's making some little tiny edge for himself. I also don't mind getting the half turn layer to Zamora.
Yeah, I think Esoteric is going too fast on the green here.
Okay,
Like
that
he's
Blast
neglecting his
Forge.
economy.
Oh,
Yeah,
Urban
right.
Sentry is a good unit. I like getting one of those.
Well, it's not really gonna pressure him. I think Sven is kind of done with buying drones at this point, anyways. Or like in 2 turns, I guess.
I think what Esoteric is doing is highly reasonable. I think he's going to use that Blast Forge to buy like a couple synthesizers, and then he's going to, before the Zamora is ready, synthesize the green into like some grenade mech. And Sven would like to make Energy Matrix against like 5 or 8 damage or something, but only 2 or 3 of it's going to be real damage. So Esoteric is going to annoy him slightly with this grenade mechs, and then I feel like he'll wind up having all these synthesizers powering the Zamora, which is efficient and nice. So I think maybe it's pretty good for him.
Yeah, I'm just worried that he just like he also went with the double Doom Drone early on, and I think he might just not have the econ, like a good enough econ. Like he's already 4 drones behind, and soon that's gonna be like 6 drones.
That does
And
bother me.
yeah,
He should
especially
get
if
drones in the Energy Matrix set.
yeah, and if the optimal play like involves Tarsiers and Sentinels, you definitely need a lot of econ before the Zamora comes out as well. Like it's a lot of things you really want to buy.
Yeah, I think this Animus is going to be like Tarsier Sentinel per turn for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. I think is it time to buy a Sentinel? It's kind of
Yeah, it doesn't line up perfectly with the Zamora.
yeah. You're right. It's always a bit confusing about turn timers. Yeah, you're right. It's kind of sad that the Sentinel doesn't do damage on this turn, but yeah, actually, I don't think you buy Sentinel that doesn't do damage. Well, it can kill Galvani drones.
Oh yeah, I forgot that this Urban Sentry is sitting around. I see your point, but you should buy sometimes. I mean, Sentinel is a lot better unit than Tarsier in this game.
Uh,
I agree. You probably
well,
don't buy it this turn, I guess.
yeah. I mean, a Sentinel that doesn't do damage is pretty bad. So unless you have like Antima, Antima is the only time I would click a Sentinel for no damage. But
Yeah, if I'm Sven, I guess I'm thinking like 2 Tarsiers this turn, double Sentinel next turn. Meanwhile, I guess he's going to get Urban Sentry.
yeah, I mean, you could also make probably an argument for Rhino Sentinels, Urban Center, or something stupid. But I think Sven wants
The
a
Urban Sentry is hitting
synthesizer
the
first.
Galvani anyway, so the Rhino is not very useful.
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking about ways to hit the absorb barrier at least. No synthesizers is just coming out though, but
That's
I
okay.
guess
I
they still
agree.
have
He didn't
those.
need synthesizer this turn. He should build next turn.
Yeah. But next turn he can get double Sentinel if he wants. I don't think 2 Sentinels is overkill.
No, I think that's great.
I'm a bit worried about how much green they cost, but Synthesizer does do a lot to just like keep that green flowing. Which is a euphemism for money, but not euphemism. Ah, well.
I agree. It's one of those.
Yeah, one of those words. Second language, by the way. Yeah, I know. I prefer Sven's position here. I think the Animus is going to be a key here because I don't think Solo Samora is going to do enough here with the E Matrix in the set.
I agree. I said I thought Sentinel was a really
Yeah,
good
yeah.
unit to get. I'm sticking with it. Okay, Esoteric also thinks that Sentinel is a good unit, but there's a big difference because the economy is bigger on top.
Yeah, exactly. Just Sven went for drones first and then going into the green production, where Esoteric went harder on the green production early and then into drones. He's just kind of behind on everything. Like the
Yeah,
only thing he
that
has,
7 green down there is looking real bad. Like,
yeah,
we
exactly.
really want
Like,
to click the synthesizer, but if you click the synthesizer, where's the Sentinel?
well, Sven doesn't have the second blue for the energy matrix, but this isn't really enough pressure to pressure him off, anyways. It actually won't even do any damage this turn because,
Yeah, that's an exceptionally sad grenade mech, isn't it?
yeah. I think, I mean, yeah, I don't think there was a good turn here. I think maybe grenade make is just what you have to take.
I think
Yeah,
that what's
not.
in Esoteric's mind is like, I want to maximize the number that appears on my Zamora turn. But I don't think so. Like, I think he's going to like click that grenade mech, is my guess. But I don't think it's a good goal because it's not going to be difficult for Sven to cover that number with a combination of like heck, Blood Pact is here if he starts to panic, right? So like, I'm not convinced. Also, I'm surprised Sven isn't getting to these Sentinels. Oh, okay, one Sentinel. One Sentinel must be right. I don't know about 2, but 1, no one can argue.
Mm, yeah, yeah, he might be just over defended. I mean, there's even the urban sentry that sits there for a while, but eh, I would have just liked seeing 2, but maybe he just values the Doom drone or engineers. I guess with the Doom drone train and Sentinel train, it might just be a bit too much, but yeah. I mean, Doom drone is an excellent unit. I
Doom
can't
Drone is a
recall.
really good unit, but I feel like something went wrong here if Sven isn't finding it too convenient to buy the Sentinels. Like, the Animus was a turn too early, or like something like.
I mean, he just wants to get more permanent attack, I guess, and he might find it like it's going to be more and more difficult to fit in Tarsiers. But I don't know. If the opponent is banking on getting grenade mechs, I just want to defend the Samora. And having like 4 extra engineers to defend it sounds pretty good in my eyes.
Yeah, I agree. I think Sven may or may not pay for his mistake, but I don't agree with what he did.
Yeah, I think Sven might do the like correct play in a correctly played Samora mirror. But I don't think double Tarsier is the correct response to the opponent massing grenade mechs, right? Because all Sven needs to do is just survive like the first couple of turns of the Samora, and he's just fine.
I guess my prediction about him clicking the Blast Forge was wrong.
Oh, he didn't. I mean, he still has one more turn for it, so.
Well, clicking it would have made Sven hold that Doom drone, which would die for nothing this turn. That would be nice. I don't think Is that blue important? He has like so much green that he can synthesize an energy matrix very easily. He doesn't need that blue. I guess he should have clicked, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure how big impact that has, but it might be just a small.
Wait, where's the energy matrix?
Well, he's buying the third grenade mech. This is his plan. He's
Okay, but
kind of
like he
all in
should
on
also
winning.
click the other synthesizer and get an energy matrix. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And
That
he
I
should
agree
also
with.
click the blast forge away. Like if you're gonna do it, you got to do it.
Urban Sentry. Why doesn't he want to click the second synthesizer? It has enough green production, right?
He's
4,
got more than
6.
enough. I don't know.
Yeah. 2 pitches to kill an engineer that fuels an Galvani.
That is a very sad pixie clicks.
Yeah. I guess he's off the plan of pressuring with grenade mechs. Huh.
I feel like he must be on tilt or something because this is an unusual series of decisions.
Oh,
Okay,
triple
3
click makes
pixie
more
clicks
sense.
was better.
Yeah.
That was better.
Oh, these Doom drones
That was
coming in
probably
perfectly.
best. That was probably better than clicking the Galvani and doing one less, doing that one.
Yeah. I
Okay,
know, still 3 pitches for 3 damage. I guess it's 4 damage because you save 1 as well on your side.
so Sven defended without difficulty. That's the good news for him. His green
And
production is good. Esoteric also, green production is good, but he owes a little bit of defense here.
yeah, but I mean,
But
at
the
this
problem is
point,
the other
they're
damage besides the Zamora. Like, look at all this good stuff Sven has on the table, whereas the good stuff on the bottom, it's not there.
yeah. I mean, the econs are pretty similar. I mean, Esoteric has a few more Doom drones here, but I mean, he's down 3
Yeah, but
Sentinels
Esoteric is up
basically.
3 Sentinels.
Yeah,
Sorry, not
it's
Esoteric. Sven is up.
yeah. Yeah, I think the only plan you have to do is hope that grenade mix carries you somehow. And I think if you want it to carry you, you need to start clicking them because, you know, you're not going to win the long game here. You just have to hope that Sven somehow runs out of defense. It's not a good plan, but it's at least something, you know. Did he need that synthesizer, by the way?
I mean, I guess he did if he also wanted to click both of his existing synthesizers, which, yeah, I see why he wanted to do that. So maybe okay.
Well, he did force out a blood pact, but Sentinels are still coming in. Sven has enough green to click somewhere next turn, and it doesn't seem particularly hard for him to defend here. I mean, Esoteric did get the first Samora click, so his econ is technically in the lead for a couple of turns, but soon the Tarsiers will catch up, I think, in like doing economical damage.
Yeah, right now it just looks a lot like Sentinels versus no Sentinels to me.
Yeah. But now there's a Greenbotch in addition. Joking, of course, the Greenbotch isn't particularly relevant. Can he even defend this? He can't even click a synthesizer here, so he's stuck at 25 gold and
Yeah,
1
he's
green.
gonna have a hard time holding on to the sentries. That's too bad. Yeah, now all of a sudden Esoteric became undertech. He owed like a Blast Forge or Animus or something last turn. Now that his synthesizers aren't clicking, I guess maybe getting that extra grenade mech was too much of a reach.
Yeah. I guess my suggestion of clicking it last turn was even worse then, since then he actually had no tech, but
Well, he did click both of the ones that he had last turn. That's why he had to buy the new
so
one, and
sorry,
that's
I'm
why
clicking the
he's so
grenade
low.
mech.
Oh, clicking the grenade mech. Yeah, that would have been a pretty sad story this turn.
But yeah. I mean,
Okay,
next turn,
with
Sven
those
probably
urban
don't even
sentries
need...
down, I feel like this one's in the books.
Yeah. It feels like Sven even takes it a bit prematurely, over defending versus like 2 damage the dice. Like this blood pact actually is
Yeah, if I were
doing
him, I think
nothing.
I
But
would have held a drone or something, or like bought a rhino.
yeah, but I think the like results of this game is kind of already said and done. Just, and I think Sven feels it as well. He's taking his turns way faster, and well, as long as he doesn't like forget to fuel the Simura next turn, there's just nothing Esoteric has on his side. I mean, he bought 3 grenade mates and never really used any of them. As I mean, they've just been like kind of glorified steel splitters.
Yeah,
I
those
killed 2
grenade mechs,
drones.
they didn't quite come at times when they put a lot of pressure on Sven. Like somehow, if they were going to come, they had to give Sven a harder time than they actually did.
Yeah. And yeah, here we see the Sentinels coming out, and Sven didn't have to purchase any prompt defense here. And that's going to be true for, well, the rest of the game, presumably. Adding on Tars here, steel splitters, just anything.
So Sven was player 2 in this, right? And he got like a natural conduit into drone conduit into Zamora, and Esoteric was half a turn faster, so he must have gotten that player 1 turn 2 conduit. Is that why he?
Esoteric went with like conduit Doom Drone on turn 2.
Oh yeah, the Doom drones. I forgot.
But I think the big mistake was him going directly into Blast Forge instead of going for the Econ first. Like
Yeah,
he went for the tech first instead of the Econ, and Samara just requires a lot of Econ because the game is just put on hold for 4 turns. So drones are just really good in that spot. Like getting out damage before your Samara doesn't really do anything.
4th game is up. Okay, so Esoteric is on match point here. He's got to prove himself in this game or admit that Sven is better.
Is that what they're playing for?
Well, I suppose so.
I guess that's
Okay,
what
what's going on
every
here?
game is played for. It's another Samora, but I don't think this is Samora. There's also
Oh,
Deadeyes, but
hard game. Centrifuge Arca is always difficult.
yeah, it might just be like some sort of cat and mouse with like
All right.
aggressive red strategy
So to
versus
start
Tesla
with, we
coil.
agree Deadeye doesn't play, right?
Yeah, I think both Deadeye and Samora is out of the question.
Yeah, I also don't think Zamora plays, so that simplifies things. We have some damage, Perf, Grimbotch, and Tesla, and we got Arca, and we got a Centrifuge. And the question is, how are you going to add up to 7 and then click that Arca?
I like my initial impression is that the best strategy is Perforator and Grimbotches, but Tesla coil generally beats Grimbotches and Perforators.
Okay, but it doesn't
So
beat Grimbotches and Perforators if you can build an Arca.
yeah, probably, but that's like a higher econ red than just like a so.
No,
Oh,
Tesla
Ulrich.
coil is not that fast. Like, well, I feel like maybe you can spike to 7. I don't know, maybe not. Like, I'm thinking of how you can get to 7 damage with, like, like a Tarsier or 2 and like some Grimbotch and some Perf with someone building Tesla coil. Sounds hard. I feel like you might get to 5 or 6, but 7?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Auric and Centrifuge makes it really difficult. Like there might be some sort of red aggressive rush with a Centrifuge that's timed perfect. That said, first arc isn't necessarily that bad here
I
because you
think
have like double Nevo charge
I think in this game, I'm going to get at the start, before I get Centrifuge, I'm going to get all 3 colors. And I'm going to plan to build like 1 Tesla coil, probably a wall, and then like 4 damage with like, maybe I'll have a Steel Splitter or something, but like the rest of my damage is going to be Perfs and Grimwatch. And then I'm going to try to time Centrifuge to hit the Arca, so I don't have to build a second blue. And I'm going to use the extra. I'm going to have perforators to spend the extra red from the centrifuge so that I don't have to waste it. And then I'm going to have a crap load of extra green, but that's okay because there exists an Evo charge, and I claim that that's a good.
Yeah. So Sven is doing somewhat of a naturalish animus.
Sven,
I guess
yeah,
it's not
this
the
is
player
just
one.
a fastimus with.
Oh yeah, right. It's a fastimus with floating auric.
And Esoteric is playing. I like what Esoteric is doing. I think Esoteric is doing what I would do if I wanted to do my plan. I would play like this, and on next turn I would get something like I don't know, Steel Splitter or Wall, and then like Conduit. Well, I might get Conduit this turn because I want to get that Tesla coil pretty soon. I don't want to get like 2 Steel Splitters or something. But somehow he also needs to have enough drones to get that red in. And he might want to get 1 early perforator so that it's easier to spend all of his tech without too much econ. Very tricky ordering here, I think, if you are aiming for this goal economy where you centrifuge into Arca. Maybe even you need a few more drones to accomplish this. I don't know.
I think actually these aurics in this fastimus strategy feels like maybe there's a centrifuge coming for Sven.
Yeah, I'm getting a little worried that Esoteric might be threatening Tesla too late to prevent Sven from just getting up to about 8 damage and then centrifuge into Arca without the trouble. Like, Esoteric needs a Tesla coil soon if he doesn't want this to happen to him.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can't really throw down double conduit here and hope to be fine.
No, you do not want 2 conduit. Yeah,
maybe you just have to fuge or something.
If I were him, I think I would have preferred to build a conduit last turn.
Yeah, over the blast forge or
no, over a drone.
Oh yeah, that's the urban sentry opening. I wouldn't hate that. Oh, just Phosmus into Tarsiers. Good old Prismata. How base it is meant to be played.
Yeah, I suppose so. So like, if Sven wanted to get also blue and green, I think he would be considering a perforator. So I think that this is a signal that he thinks he can kind of get there with like, maybe a wall, but most of his 7 damage is going to come from, which seems reasonable to me in his position now.
Yeah.
So
And
maybe next turn he's going to want to get a centrifuge. He only has to figure out whether he's going to get counter arced if he does it, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, the counter arca is of 2 Tesla clicks, presumably. That's kind of the only thing that can put up that amount of damage for blue.
Wait, next turn is 1 turn too soon for the centrifuge if he builds only red. If he builds only red units to attack per turn, he needs to wait a turn and then get centrifuge.
Yeah, you're right. How bad is the Gauss cannon in addition to the red stuff? It's pretty bad. He's only on 9 drones.
I don't think it's that bad, but I would be more inclined to build blue because he's going to need like a wall, right? And then he can build like a splitter with it or something.
So Esoteric
and his econ is so low.
Dead Eyes.
Wait, so I said that centrifuge was not this turn, right?
Well, I mean, if the opponent is going Dead Eyes, I think you have all the time in the world to like you're not gonna get attacked, right?
Right,
he
but
even
wait,
built
is
a
the
wall.
centrifuge buying Arco? Like, I got too confused. Oh, it is buying Arca. The
Yeah.
centrifuge is right. Okay. So yeah, I feel like Deadeyes is like exactly wrong, because the problem is if Sven gets to 7 and then buys an Arca, he could then have 0 drones and still win the game, right?
Yeah, I cannot see a world where Esoteric can get up to 7 damage while defending 11 every turn.
So like the only way that Esoteric is going to win with Deadeyes is if Sven can't buy the Arca, but he can't snipe things that fast. Okay, well, he's not committing to Deadeyes, he's getting this other stuff too. But then his double blue is going to be like, what's it buying?
More Deadeyes, I guess.
Or Deadeyes.
Like, what else can you really, like... At this point, like, I don't think the Deadeye was probably correct, but at this point, you know, you're not going to switch off the Deadeye strategy at this point. Or I guess you still have this turn, so it's like throw down double Steel Splitter in hopes to get there. Yeah, I think he really wishes that Blaster
Yeah,
was a conduit.
I think he discovered that he's having a second thought about his idea.
Well, I mean, double conduit here wouldn't be the worst, but I mean, this is
Yeah,
just way too.
double conduit would have a chance, maybe. Although then the blue gets burnt if he buys a Tesla, which is frustrating.
I think maybe he was a bit baited by these Auric impulses, just like seeing the opponent's drones hitting like 9, it's like, haha, I can snipe all of them, but well.
So next turn, Sven wants to get like 2 perfs, and then, or like, 2 perfs. And
Oh yeah.
then what else? I mean, someday he's going to need a wall. I guess that's not tomorrow because he's got Arca, but maybe it's the next day. But
I don't
then
know.
he
At
shouldn't
this
get
point, you
it next
probably
turn.
can throw down a conduit and start getting some more out.
I guess he just wants more drones. His next turn is like double perf, double drone. Get some more out. Yeah, I guess. I agree, that would probably also win.
I mean, if the opponent is going for the drones and not pushing you, I think honestly just a conduit here, set up some more plus Arca would just.
Wait, are you serious? Like, you would consider getting Zamora?
I mean, I don't
I
think it's the
think he
correct
can
play.
play anything and win almost
Yeah.
if Esoteric doesn't get Arca, but I don't think that Zamora is actually smart. Like, what
Yeah.
is that green
Oh,
doing in the meantime anyway?
I mean,
I guess it can buy Nevos, why not?
Yeah. I know. My reasoning is that, you know, Esoteric is never gonna breach the Zamora until it's finished, and he's doing nothing but defending during that entire time, so I like this self-breach. It's kind of cute, but you still buy
Yeah,
the
I
Arca
agree.
here.
That looks like a good way to play, as far as not holding drones.
But I mean, you're still buying like 4 engineers here, so.
Yeah, I mean, my prediction of this game is that
Oh, never
in
mind. You
5
did.
turns, Esoteric is not going to have any wall supply left, and then that's going to be a sad story.
Is this
Oh,
better than
Sven.
Arca?
No.
There's no way this is better than Arca.
Why would it be better than Arca? Like, he's just buying 4 crappy damage instead of 4 good damage. The game's
No, I
not going
mean
to
the
end, like,
Perforator isn't even
right away.
damage.
Right, that's what I mean by crappy damage.
Oh, but I mean, Grimwatch is crappy damage, you know, because it goes away, but Perforator isn't even damage.
Well,
Oh,
okay, this game just totally changed. Is
yeah.
is Sven still winning? Is this smart? What's going on here?
I mean, I still think Esoteric is stuck defending for the rest of the game and can't do anything to Sven.
All right, well, Sven has, let's say, 8 permanent damage. So from Esoteric's point of view, that's going to be wall for a couple turns if he wants, but then he doesn't have enough to also build damage. So that's not good. Yeah, he can sneak some damage in, and even one Tesla coil is, that's something against a guy who's got no wall and never will have, maybe.
Yeah,
He's
I think this Tesla coil is good, but I don't know.
Yeah, the Tesla
Yeah,
coil
man.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So next turn he'll be able to play
Uh,
something like Wall Splitter, for
are you
example.
really econing here? I would have
Well, what else are
assumed
you gonna do?
either. Well, it was either double Nevo charge or a Gauss cannon.
Oh, the Nevo charges are an interesting idea. I agree that he should use that green, and I don't see the benefit of waiting.
Yeah. I
Yeah, I'm with
mean,
you
next
on the
turn
Nevo.
he can hold perf and spend the red instead. But I don't know.
I'll need
A
it 2
Gauss
walls.
cannon would be like more.
1 damage is fake, remember? Yeah, looks like Sven just has too much damage. If Esoteric has to keep buying 2 walls, then Sven is not going to die from 1 Tesla coil.
Yeah. But I mean, I think this is way closer than an Arca ever would have been. Oh, there's the Nevo charges. Was there any benefit of waiting?
I don't see why there was. I mean, okay, now the Deadeye is... I don't know. No. Why would he wait?
Oh. Yeah, and now that Tesla Kill is going to stay unpowered, and well, 7 Tarsiers is going to go the distance.
The Tesla is not actually kill. But sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh well. That was
Whew.
stellar performance by Sven here.
Yeah, all 4 asymmetric games, all 4, it felt like Sven got something his opponent didn't get, and then like that thing was too good, like it was an endotherm kit, or it was like some sentinels or so on, and then the price was paid. It was some Tatsu nullifier. All right, well, I guess it's time for winner's interview.
Yeah. Well, hey man. So, what you
Congrats.
think? I guess congrats first.
Shit. Sorry, my mic was muted. So, first thing I want to say is that Eso is the one that challenged me to the show match. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah. Props to him.
Anyway,
And what was the result of that challenge?
it was a bit one-sided, but some pretty interesting games, I would say, anyway.
Okay, you want to go through them like one by one? You want to tell us some highlights in your opinion? How do you want to do it?
Sure, we can go through it one by one.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear your take on the games. We've discussed our takes, but, we're a bit rusty. You were the one in the driver's seat, so.
Did you
So
have
in the
any
first
specific
game,
questions about plays I made?
sure. So the first game was the game with Blood Rager, Wild Drone, Manticore, like all this Absorption Isle. Then it had Centurion and it had Tatsu.
Yeah.
So when I was thinking about that game, what I thought to myself is, well, Tatsu is like pretty good, but Centurion's very good. So I thought that probably you would get, some third engineer econ that looked pretty ordinary. Both players would probably get Centurion, and then instead of Tatsus, I thought that they would buy, like, you would both buy these other efficient attackers like Sinestra, Cluster Bolt, Blood Rager. And I thought if one person did that, and the other person started to build for Tatsus, then very quickly maybe the first person could get these fast attackers like Sinestra and Cluster Bolt, and it would be hard for the other player to build these Tatsus. But then the game went totally differently. Your opponent got like double blue early and started getting Manticores, and then you sort of responded by getting these Tatsus, and that seemed to clean up pretty good. How did you think the game would go? Like, was this Tatsu responsive? Do you think that Tatsus should have come out regardless?
The thought of like Sinestras and Clusters and Ragers as attackers crossed my mind, but I don't know. Like, if you go for Centurion, then Tatsu is almost a hard counter to it. You're passively freezing it, denying 3 absorb every single turn. And also, to ramp your econ properly in that set, you'd need to be getting Galvanis and Wilds, in which case the Centurion wouldn't get absorb early anyway. So you're it's kind of okay to be stuck on walls for like the first few turns that you're being attacked. And those two things combined just made it seem like Tatsu was an overall solid strategy after like getting around 17 drones to be getting walls and Tatsus on the same turn. You can't really get out Sinestras and Cluster Bolt early enough to counter a Tatsu without, making yourself too vulnerable to like your opponent getting Centurion and easily defending against such a rush.
True, although if your opponent gets Centurion, still you can use your Sinestra effectively by like putting into Mega Drones and Wild Drones and Blood Ragers and so on for a little.
Yeah. It definitely would have had a chance. I just feel like if you're not rushing your opponent down really fast, then Tatsu just becomes way too good. And it hard counters Centurion, so yeah, that's why I liked Tatsu there. I think I'm not like 100% sure that it's the optimal strategy, but I knew it would work pretty well.
Nice. So second game was that was the game with Endo Windsor.
Yep, Endo Windsor.
Yeah, BearSuit was mentioning that he typically didn't think that it was right to get Endo before Windsor because then the opponent counters with Windsor too fast. You can't set up very much damage with your Windsor because you're too busy defending, and it kind of goes downhill. And then, like right after he said that, then you got Endo.
Yeah.
So, how do you think about the decision to get Endo before Windsor or not?
So until recently, I didn't have that much experience with the combo, and I kind of just listened to what other people said, which was a bad idea in the first place. You should never listen to what anyone says. But yeah, in a recent ladder game of mine, I was really surprised that like my Windsor rush got beaten by a slower Windsor with Endo. And that typically the Endo typically only works if there's no big burst, like other big burst combos with Windsor. Like let's say there was Nevo in the set, then maybe Endo seems bad because you want to get Windsor Nevo faster. But because there wasn't anything like that, it's not that hard to defend the first Windsor shot.
Okay, so you felt comfortable doing it here because there weren't such great attackers that he could put a ton of pressure on with his slightly earlier Windsor.
Yeah. Like Windsor by itself with some okay attackers isn't gonna hard counter Endo into Windsor. And based on my experience in that game and in another game I played on ladder recently.
So you don't think the E-matrix was a big part of that? It felt like the E-matrix was stopped the Sinestra, for example, to come out to pressure you. It felt like if Esoteric managed to like get out Hellhounds with Sinestras, he'd be like putting up like 7 damage a turn on you. And if you didn't have the E-matrix at that point, you're kind of on the back foot for the rest of the game. You have that one big burst turn, but if that's defended, you're just really far behind. That's at least how I've usually seen Endotherm Windsor happening.
Yeah, the Matrix is a big part of it. Matrix kind of just stops anything early from doing anything good. So if you're investing in like a Sinestra that's partially getting absorbed by Matrix, it's not really that great compared to Endo, which lines up with your Windsor and everything's coming in all at once.
I guess
smashing
in that
faces.
particular game, like, you could see. So there was that moment where Esoteric bought the Hellhounds instead of the Cauterizer, which then made the first Windsor defense like substantially more painful than it had to be. But even if he hadn't done that and he had just gone like Cauterizer, and played for max defense on the Windsor turn, I don't think there was any way that he could ever buy a Sinestra that game because there was too much crap coming at him. So at least like not and also have a Windsor. So I guess it's not the case that he can get Sinestra fast enough to, like, even if there wasn't E Matrix, it's not like Sven would have had to be defending against this 7 damage.
Yeah, like Endo Cauterizer is a very good counter to Endo, but you can only get I figured out that you could only get 2 of them before the Windsor comes in. And 2 Cauterizers not quite enough of a hard counter to Endo to like dissuade me from going for it. And it basically means they have to really go out of their way to defend my Endo. They're buying like a Cauterizer that runs straight into a wall the first time and then runs straight into a Matrix the second time. So it's a really inefficient way of getting attacks. So he would have to sacrifice his ability to attack to be able to defend. And I think I would still come out on top in that case.
Okay. So let's see. Third game was Zamora time, and you were player 2, and you played like natural conduit, natural Zamora, and then Esoteric was player 1 and tried to take advantage of Doom Drone with like turn 2 double Doom Drone conduit into a half turn faster Zamora, and then you further diverged from there. Esoteric got a kind of early blue with an early synthesizer and tried to get some grenade mechs. You got a slightly larger economy, and you got a later blue, and you played with Tarsiers and Sentinels. How did you think about the decision of like what to? Well, firstly, I'm curious if you had any opinions about like the virtue of your or Esoteric's Zamora timing. Like there were more options than usual with Doom Drone in there, and also then how did you think about like what to get in between the time of when you bought Zamora and when it was ready to go?
So yeah, that was a really cool set. Pretty much every unit in the set being viable. We both went the usual timings where he gets a turn 2 conduit, I get a turn 2 conduit. For P1, I'm not sure if there's any way to like delay your Zamora by a turn. You could go like Blast Forge on turn 2 into Synthesizer or something weird like that, but I think
there was Galvani too, right?
Yeah.
So couldn't he have played something like, for example, double drone engineer, double Doom Drone Galvani conduit, and then that would be half a turn slower and be efficiently using energy?
Yeah, that doesn't sound too bad. I'm not sure whether that would be better or worse than what he did. But yeah, so the timings were pretty normal. I'm not sure whether timings should be any different there. But the most interesting thing about in that set to me was how viable Animus was. New Sentinel coming in clutch.
Yeah.
It's really good there.
Yeah, no, we talked about, I think we both agreed that Animus should have come out to that game for both players, because there just wasn't anything else to do before the Zamora came out, There wasn't really anything outside of like Gauss Chance and Steel Splitters. I guess it was the grenade mechs, but
it seemed like Sentinel was by far the best soak, and also like there weren't better attackers either, so you didn't mind getting it instead of some attacker. I actually was surprised by how many Tarsiers you got. I would have gotten either 1 or 2 less Tarsiers and just spam Sentinels earlier if I were you, but it looked inconvenient to both do that and continue your Doom Drone train.
Yeah. In a lot of Zamora sets, if you buy an Animus, it's such a liability that like you end up not spending it after a couple of rounds of Tarsiers. So maybe Esoteric believed that the Animus wouldn't be able to do anything once he has to start buying green producing units. But I saw Blood Pact in the set, and I have a very high opinion of Blood Pact in that it basically allows you to buy an Animus in any set that has it. You can get 2 walls for 6 RR. It's pretty good.
That's a strong statement.
So yeah, like I never felt like I was at risk buying the Animus because I could always buy Blood Pacts, and there was a great upside of maybe being able to get Sentinels, which are one of the most efficient units in the set, especially when comboed with Galvani. It's true that there wasn't much to do because Matrix was such a big absorber. Most of the stuff you can buy doesn't do much. Grenade Mech was an okay idea, but I think he should have gone for 3rd NG instead of his early Blast Forge into Urban Sentry. Like, after Zamora, do the same thing I did with the 3rd NG, and whether you get the Animus or not from there would be what decides the game, I think.
Yeah, Esoteric said in chat that he sort of like overestimated how useful the blue would be because there were a couple of good turns worth of Urban Sentry and Synth to spend it on. Yeah, I noticed that like in the mid game, first Esoteric floated a lot of green and then was doing like quite a lot of Synth clicks to spend the remaining green, and that was because Synth was the only good thing to buy with blue, and so on. So yeah, like I see what you mean, that like an extra turn of economy to delay that would be more appealing.
Yeah, like his Urban did 1 damage, but whatever, you know. It wasn't so special that you need your Blast Forge on 12 drones in that set. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed like buying 7 Sentinels in a Zamora set. It was cool.
Very nice.
I like seeing Sentinel, such a cool unit, but personal bias.
So the last game was this spicy game with Centrifuge, Perf, Grimbotch, Tesla Coil, Arca, and then like Zamora and something else that seemed like it wasn't
Deadeye.
playing. I forget what. Deadeye.
Deadeye.
Oh yeah,
which actually full play.
So I came up with like this fully formed theory of how like I wanted to get 3 colors and then and with a medium economy, and then get Arca with a combination of like a Tesla coil and some red things. And I thought that if you went too fast and tried to get 8 damage with red, you would get punished by Tesla coil, and you wouldn't be able to make it to 7 damage with red comfortably. But then you just did it. And well, I think maybe it was kind of because Esoteric like didn't get a conduit early enough or something. But anyway, you did it. So how did you read that set, and what sort of like what made you decide to play it the way you did? I might not have been confident enough to play the Fastimus Auric opening that you did if it was me.
Yeah, I thought about like, well, what I wasn't thinking of is going straight Deadeyes, which is what he did. Unfortunately, he misread the set a little bit. Deadeyes, not really that great in a set where you don't have any kind of defense. You're just buying walls against, your opponent's real attack.
But we were also really... Go on. Right.
Between the red and Tesla coil, the thing I don't like about Tesla there is that 100% of the time when you buy a Tesla early on, it's only going to deal 1 damage. It's going to trade an NG for an NG. Because the nice thing about the Fastimus Auric opening is that you can afford a Blast Forge whenever you want, while also spending both red. You can also sell the red with Perforator, so you're never wasting tech, and you have good defenders in Perforator and Grimbotch if you need to hold them back on defense.
I see. So if he had like threatened an earlier Tesla coil, then instead of building more damage with red, right, then you would have played something like Perf, Grimbotch, Blast Forge or something, and then gone.
Yeah, that's the idea. I think Grimbotch is really what made red really good there. even though I barely bought any, but that was just because of the circumstances.
I was also curious at the end game there, where you decided to take Breach instead of just buying the Arca. We were sure that the Arca was just a pure win. Did you think about it, or was it just like you saw a win and just went for that win instead?
I thought about it and decided that if he defended properly, I would have bought it. But an Arca that doesn't deny absorb, and I'm killing a Deadeye, and the Arca doesn't get any absorb itself, like at that point he didn't have any damage, so it would get 0 absorb on that turn. It didn't seem very good to me. If he had 6 damage, then I probably would have done it.
Yeah. I don't know. It just struck us as weird, just, you were at like the point where you can't really defend 11 damage every turn, but I mean, regardless, it was still a win. So it was just we were both seeing the arc as winning, and you decided something else. So
I think either way probably wins at that point. I am curious, like, whether the Arca is optimal or not, but I would have to do some analysis to figure that out.
All right.
Okay. Any further thoughts? Prospect of more show matches in the future?
Well, yeah, I enjoyed this. Unfortunately, a bit one-sided there, but Esoteric gave it the best he could, and he's improving quite quickly. Maybe in the future we'll have another show match at some point, and maybe he'll kick my ass next time.
Yeah, I want to see him challenge you again, and then kick your butt.
Sounds good. Yeah, Coffee has already redeemed the show match thing, but nothing has really come of it yet. It'll happen at some point, I think.
Oh, that's great news.
And if anyone wants to have a show match, hit me up. Redeem it on my stream loyalty points thing.
Oh, shit,
and you can bring your own commentators, or else Sven will just like grab his biased teammates to commentate on his behalf.
Nah, I love you guys. I'll always choose you. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it, unless any of you guys want to ask any more questions.
No, I think I'm good, rather.
Cool. Good Prismata. It was fun to watch. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, Bearsuit and mquander, for casting. And thank you everyone for watching. Peace out, guys.
See ya.
Goodbye.